Hello and welcome to the video Spring Boot one-to-many tutorial with me Nam Hà Minh from codejava.net. Through this video, you will learn how to design one-to-many entity relationship in Java programming with Spring Framework. And in this video, I call the entity on the one side is the parent and the entities on the many side are the children. And you will learn how to code CRUD functions on one-to-many relationship in a Spring Boot web application with three different cases. The first case is CRUD on many to one side with existing parent, and the second case is CRUD on one to many side with existing children, and the third case is CRUD on one to many side with new children. And this picture will help you understand the first case with many to one relationship between product and category. That means a category contains one or more products and a product belongs to only one category. And when creating a new product, which is a new children, we can choose an existing parent, which is the category from a drop-down list like this. And later in this video, you will learn how to code this form. And the second case is a one-to-many relationship between a brand and category. A brand contains one or more categories, and a category belongs to only one brand. And when creating a new brand, which is a new parent, we can choose some existing children, which are some categories from the list like this. And later in this video, you will learn how to implement this functionality. And this is a third case with an one-to-many relationship between product and product details. That means a product contains one or more details, and details belongs to only one product. And when creating a new product, which is the new parent here, we are also creating new children, which are some product details here. And you will also learn how to implement this kind of one-to-many relationship later in this video. So through this video, you will learn how to develop a Java web application that performs CRUD operations on some one-to-many relationships using the following technologies: Spring Boot web application, Spring Data JPA, and Hibernate for the data access layer, Thymeleaf as a template engine, HTML5 and Bootstrap on the client side, and MySQL Database. And through this video, I'm using the following software programs: Java Development Kit (JDK), Spring Tools IDE, SDS, MySQL Community Server, and MySQL Workbench. You can use the latest versions of these software programs on your computer. This is Spring Tools IDE, and I'm going to create a new Spring Boot Starter project. So go to Menu File, New, Spring Starter Project, and enter the project name as, for example, Inventory App. With the default options for project type is Maven Java version 8, packaging type is Java, language Java, group net.code Java, artifact inventory app, description, demo too many with Spring Boot, and click next. And you can see the Spring Boot version is 2.4.1. And for the dependencies, we need to choose Spring Web, Thymeleaf, Spring Data JPA, MySQL, JDBC driver, Spring Boot adapt tools for automatic restart, and this as a basic dependencies. Okay, you can choose the dependency in this section here, and click finish. Okay, you see the project got created here, the inventory app project here, and you can see this see the basic directory structure of a Spring Boot start project. This is a main class that runs the Spring Boot application. As you can see here, resource directory is where we reboot the HTML files, configuration file, And this is a Maven project file from .xml. And you can see the dependencies for Spring Boot Starter Data JPA, Thymeleaf, Web, DevTools, MySQL Connector Java, and by default it includes the Spring Boot Starter test here. And you can see the jar files for the dependencies here under the Maven dependencies section here. You can see Spring Boot Starter Data JPA, and you can see Hibernate here. Because Spring Data JPA uses Hibernate as the implementation. And you can see lots of jar files automatically downloaded by Maven. Next, we need to configure data source information for the database. So open the Spring Boot application properties file here and specify some properties for the data source information. Spring.datasource.url is the JDBC URL. JDBC colon MySQL colon, and localhost is the host name of the MySQL database server. 3306 is the port number, and slash the database schema name is inventory. Because I'm using an instance of MySQL community server on the same computer, so the host name is localhost. If you connect to a remote MySQL database server, it should be IP address or host name other than localhost. And this is MySQL workbench, and let me create a new database schema here. The name is inventory here. That is the name here. Apply, finish. And you can see the newly created database schema inventory here, and set as default schema. And you can see at this time no tables at all. And back to the project, we need to configure the username and password to connect to the database. Username here I'm using the username root, and password. And for using Spring Data JPA with Hibernate framework, we should use this property spring.jpa.hibernate ddr auto here equal create. So Hibernate framework we automatically create the tables in the database when the application is running. So for the first time, we specify the value create for this property, and I want to show a SQL statement in the output. So I specify this property in spring.jpa.show SQL equal true here. And for Hibernate, I want to format the SQL statements jpa.properties.hibernate.format underscore SQL equal true. This property we tell Hibernate framework to format the SQL statements printed in the console view. And then I need to use a specific dialect for my SQL database. So I specify this property spring.jpa.properties.hibernate.dialect, and this is a Hibernate dialect class org.hibernate dialect MySQL 5 InnoDB dialect. You can see the correct class name of uh, direct class in the Java file of Hibernate here, Hibernate core, and look in the package or Hibernate direct here, and you can see various classes for database dialects here, and you can see MySQL file DB dialect class here. Okay, so that's for the configuration of the data source. Next, let's create the home page for the application. So first, we need to create a new Spring MVC controller class. Here, app controller. This is Spring MVC controller. So we need to use this annotation controller here. And the first handler method is for the home page. So we use a red mapping annotation to handle HTTP and GET request with the empty string is for the application context root here. Public string view home page, and in this handler method we just return a logical view name for the home page, which is usually the index page. Okay, and then in the template directory here we need to create the corresponding HTML file. HTML here, name it as index.html. Finish, and here we go. The code, HTML code, change the page title to inventory home page, and create a heading one in the home page. Welcome to inventory app. That's it. And now we are ready to run our Spring Boot application. You can see the boot dashboard here in Spring 2 SWI ID here, and you can choose the application and click the start button here to start the application. Okay, I see Spring Boot application is being started, and you can see some login information in the console output here, and you can see by default the application is running on an embedded Tomcat server listening on port number 8080 with the context path is empty here, and we can use a browser like Chrome to test the application. So I open the application at this URL http localhost port number 8080 context path is empty, and you can see the welcome message, welcome to inventory app here. That means our Spring Boot application is up and running perfectly, and it displays the content of the home page as it is here. And because we will use Bootstrap for the user interface, so we need to modify the Maven project here to include some dependencies for using Bootstrap here. So create a new dependency section here with the group ID is webzast. Webzast is a kind of technology that enables using of web resources in a Java application from Java files. And artifact ID is Bootstrap, and the version of Bootstrap is 4.3.1. And then we need to specify another dependency for the web jar allocator. So we can copy. Group ID is the same, and artifact ID is web jar dash locator dash core here. This dependency allows us to specify the Bootstrap CSS file in the HTML file locator. Okay, save the changes and you will see. Here we see the jar files for web jar Bootstrap here. You see, and under this jar file is the resource for Bootstrap. You can see CSS files here. And then we can update the home page in the head section here to include a reference to Bootstrap CSS file. Link URL equal style sheet. Type is text CSS and href point to the part of the main CSS file. Here we use Thymeleaf XML and th equal http www.thymeleaf.org here to use Thymeleaf syntax in this HTML file, and I recommend you to use th for every URL that is generated dynamically here, and then we specify the path to a Bootstrap main CSS file, which is webjar slash bootstrap slash css slash bootstrap dot min dot css, and then we can use the css class names in the HTML here. For example, for div section here, we can specify the class container here, and a div section for the heading one here. Okay, that's it, and we can refresh the application homepage here. Refresh and view the page source to make sure that Bootstrap CSS is loaded. Click here, and we can see an error here. So I think I need to explicitly restart the application here for the changes to take effect. Refresh the project here and start the application again. Okay, and refresh the home page, and you can see the style got changed for the heading one here. View page source, click the link to the Bootstrap CSS file here, and you can see the content of the CSS file here. That means Bootstrap is loaded successfully. Next, we are going to code the CRUD functions on many-to-one relationship between product and category. Category contains one or more products, and a product belongs to only one category. So we need to create two entity classes, product and category, that map to the corresponding tables in the database, table product and table category. But first, we need to update the home page of the application to include the hyperlinks for listing categories, listing products, creating category, creating product. Okay, so I create a new deep section here, deep here, and a hyperlink here. This categories, and the URL is using Thymeleaf for the URL here, slash categories. And I want to center the text in the container, so I use the class text dash center from Bootstrap here. Refresh, and you can see the hyperlink list categories here. I use the class heading 2 for the hyperlink. Heading 2 S2. And you see the hyperlink list categories here. There's a handler method has not been created yet, so we see the white label error page. And then the hyperlink to create a new category. Create category. And the URL is category slash new. It should be in a separate deep section, so it will be in a separate line. You see, list categories and create category. And we need to use the spacing class in the Bootstrap B2 padding 2 to add a padding space between the deep sections. And you can see it looks better, right? Okay, and we do the same for listing hyperlink to list products and create a product. Products is a URL here. List products. Yeah. And the same similar for the hyperlink that allows the user to create a new products slash new, create product. Okay, and refresh, and you can see we have 4 hyperlinks: list categories, create category, list products, and create product in the home page here. And now let's create the first entity class category that maps to the corresponding table category in the database. The table has 2 columns, ID, name. So the entity class we have 2 corresponding fields, ID and name. So come back to the project and create a new Java package here for the category. And refresh and create a new entity class here. Category. With 2 fields, ID and name. And generate the getter and setter methods. Source generate getters and setters. Select all. Generate. Okay. And we need to use some annotations. Entity. Yeah. From the package javax.persistent here. And because the class name is same as the table name, so we don't need to use the table annotation. And for the ID field, we need to use the ID annotation to indicate that this field maps to the primary column in the database. And generated value with strategy is generation type identity to tell hybrid framework that the values of the ID field will be generated by the database. And for the column name, we need to use this annotation column, and we specify the length. Maximum length of a name is 45 character, and it is not it cannot be null, so nullable equal false. And the name of a category is unique, so we specify the attribute unique equal true. Okay, that's it for the category entity class. And now we need to create a category repository interface here. Category repository. I think it's better to stop the application because I'm going to write a lot of code, make a lot of changes to the code, and we have this interface extends the JPA repository interface. Extend JPA repository interface. The JPA repository interface defines common methods for data access, and the entity type is category. Type of the ID field is integer. You can see the JPA repository interface here. Define some methods, file save here, and then we can use those methods without the need to write implementation code, because at runtime Spring Data JPA we automatically generate implementation for the repository interface here. Okay, and now we need to write a unit test. And there's a test source directory here. Create a new class. Category repository test. Here we create a new test class for data JPA, so we use the annotation data JPA test. Yeah, and I want to run this test class against the real database, so I need to use this annotation auto configure test database replace equal none, because by default data JPA test class we use an in-memory database instead of the real memory. So if you want to use the real database, you need to use this annotation with the replace property set to none. And I also want every changes will be committed to the database, so I specify rollback equal false here, and then I can have a reference to the category repository here, a repo, and has Spring Framework auto-write an instance of category repository into this test class. And the test method, first test method is test create a new category, proceed a new category object into the database. Public void test create category, and I create a new category object with a name, so I generate a constructor here. So generate constructor using fields. Select all, generate, and copy. We need to have 3 constructors. One for the no argument constructor here, no argument, and the second is for the ID, and the third is for the name. Okay, and here now I Can call repo save new category object with a name, for example electronics. Yeah, and this method returns the category object, so assign the return value. Saved category here, so I can use assert statement. Assert by default Spring Boot includes assert J library, so we can use the Fluent API for assertion. Assert that saved category. Get ID is greater than 0. So you can see using assert J assertion API. Here you can see the assertion statement looks more fluent than the traditional unit assert statement. Okay, then we are ready to run this test method. And in the database, you can see we have no table at all here. Refresh, you see no table at all. Oh, sorry, the table category has been already created here. Because when I make changes to the code and the application has restarted, and when restarted it we create the table. You can see the SQL statement here, drop table if exists category, and the SQL statement create table category here. Because in the application properties file we set this hybrid DDL auto equal create, so each time the application restarts it we recreate the tables in the database. So you see the table category got created here. Let me select alter this table, and you can see the structure, 2 column ID name here, and you can see ID integer name varchar length 45, exactly the size we specify in the entity class length 45 here, and you can see unique true here, not null true here. Okay, that means that we need to change the DDL auto here to update here, so it won't recreate the table. And now let me run the test method here and run as the unit test. And you see the test has passed successfully with the green check mark here. You can see in the console view it prints the insert statement here, insert into category table, and let's verify in the database. Select rows from this table, and you can see a new row got inserted with the name electronics here. Perfect, right? Next, I'm going to write code that displays a list of categories here. So when I click the hyperlink list categories here, all categories in the database will be listed. The application is not running. Okay, so I create a new controller class here. Category controller. This is a Spring MVC controller, so we need to use the annotation controller. And here in the controller class, I can have a reference to the category repository. category repository report here, and have Spring work automatically inject an instance of category repository with the auto-while annotation here. And the handler method is for this URL for listing categories here. Public string list categories, and it returns a logical view name to the HTML page that will display the list of categories. And here I can call the repo method file or method here that returns a list of category objects and assign it to a variable list categories. And I need to use the model object from Spring Framework to store the list categories into the model attribute. List categories here. That's it for the controller handler method that we display a list of categories for this URL here. And then we need to code the view page categories here. So we can reuse the code of the home page index. So I copy and paste here and change the file name to categories here. And I change the HTML code here to list categories, the title of the page, and the heading of the page is the category list. Delete this code from the home page. Okay, now we can start our Spring Boot application to test the listing categories feature. And I use a div section for the table that shows the categories. Okay, refresh. You can see the home page here and click the link list categories. And you can see the category list page with the heading category list here. Now let me write code to display the category. I want to use the table here, heading with some columns, ID and name of the category, and then the table body, T-body, and I use the Thymeleaf block and with DHH to iterate over elements in a collection. Category in the collection list categories. You see is a list categories is set in the model here. List categories here. Okay, and for each category object in the collection, I create a new table row to display the content of the category. The first column is the ID category.id, and the second column is the category name. Here we use a name from the few names in the entity class ID name here. We need to specify a table row here. Okay, that's basically for the category list page, and now we can refresh, and you can see the one category electronics appear here, but it doesn't look nice, right? So we can modify, apply some CSS classes from Bootstrap here to make the user interface looks nicer. Okay, so for the table, I use this class equal table table bordered table heading class table head dark. Okay, and refresh, and you can see the table category looks better, right? With ID1 for the category name electronics here. Next, I'm going to write code for implementing the create category function here. When the user clicks the create category happening here, form will appear, allowing the user to enter the information for a category. Okay, so I need to update the category controller here. Write a new handler method to handle the URL categories slash new here. Get mapping for HTTP get request public string. So category new form. With a model object, and I put a new empty category onto the model and attribute. Name is category, new category, and return a logical view name to the category form page. Category underscore form, and let me create category form here. Copy and paste the home page. Category underscore form here. Update the title. Create category. Create new category. The heading one of the page is create new category. Okay, now let's click create category link here. You can see heading create new category. And now let me write code for the form. Yeah. The action of the form, we use the Thymeleaf th action equal categories slash save, and th object refer to object in the model category. The object is set in the handler method category here, and then the method of the form is http post, and then I use the div section for the form, and label is category name. So in the category form, we have only one text field, that is the category name. Input type equal text. th field equal to the name field of the category object here, and use the CSS class from Bootstrap from control require. Apply some CSS for the label, which is column form label. And the class for the deep section here is the class equal form group and row. And you can see the form appears here, category name, the text field here. And I center this form on screen, so I use this style. Max width is about 600 pixel, and I center the form on screen, so I use a margin 0 auto, and you can see here. Okay, and let me update the CSS for the form. Sorry, this should be correct, and refresh. Column small 4, and for the deep section for the input field is column small 8 here, and refresh. You can see the form is looking nice now. You can see add some spacing here, margin 3 here, and have a submit button here. Button type equal submit, save, and CS class is btn primary, and I center the button text center with padding 3. Okay, and you can see the create new category forms here with a text field and a submit button. Click save, and you can see it requires to fill out this field because we use HTML file input with the required property here. And next, let's write a handle method for this URL for saving a category in the category controller class here. And this time we use the post mapping for this URL. Public change save category, and we can specify a category object as parameter for the method, and Thymeleaf we populate the fields on the form and create a new category object here. Okay, and then we just call repo save category, and finally we return a redirect to the category list page here. Redirect. Okay, and we are ready to test the create category function. Okay, so I enter category name as spot. Click save, and you can see it returns to the category list page with new category appear spot here. Perfect, right? And we can verify in the database. And you can see a new category spot got inserted here. And let me create another one from the home page. Create category name automobile. Here, click save, and you can see automobile was created here. Then we create another one, food and beverage. Here, click save, and you can see the new category food and beverage here. Next, let's create the entity class product to implement the one-to-many relationship between category and product. And as you can see in the product table, we have 4 columns: ID, name, price, and category ID is the foreign key to the category table. So I create a new Java package here. Product, and create a new entity class. Product here. This entity class maps to the corresponding table in the database. Entity, and the first field is for the ID of a product, and then the product name and price, and we have a reference to the category. For the ID, we need to use this notation here. Then the value identity, and for the field name that maps to the corresponding column in the database, we specify the length is about 128 characters. Nullable is false. And also the name of a product is unique, so unique equals true here. And for the price field, we don't need to use any annotation. And for the reference to a category here, because a product belongs to only one category, so here we need to use the annotation many to one. Many products belong to one category. Many to one here, and specify the join column, which is a foreign key in the product table. Category underscore ID. Join column name equal, and then generate the getter and setter methods. Select all and generate. Okay, and you see, and save the changes. And you see the application has restarted, and you can see the SQL statement printed in the console here. Create table product here. Now let me check the database. Refresh the database inventory tables, and you can see the new table product got created here with 4 columns: ID, name, price, and category ID here. Exactly what we specified in the entity class. And you see here, category ID is a foreign key here. Very convenient using Hibernate and DDL Auto. As you can see here, we specify DDL Auto equal update. So whenever we create a new entity class, and when the application restarted, it will create the table automatically. Okay, so far so good. And then we need to create a new repository interface for this product entity class. Product repository, and have this interface extends the JPA repository product integer. That's it. And next, I will implement the code to create a new product when a user clicks the link create a product here. Go back to the project and create a new Spring MVC controller class first. Product controller to handle requests for the product module. This here controller, and we need to have a reference to the product repository. Yeah, and the first handler method is to display the create new product page. That mapping. The URL is here products / new public change show new product form. Now return a logical view name to the product form, product underscore form, and we need to have a model object here, and put a new product onto the model. Product, new product object here. Okay, and then create new product form. We can reuse the code of the category form. So copy and paste here. Product underscore form, and modify the title, heading, create new product, create new product. Action of the form is / products / save. Yeah, the object of the form is the product, and the first text field is a product name, and the field is name, because in the entity class product we have the fields name, price. Okay, the next field is for the product price, so we can copy and paste this section. Product price, map to the field name, price. Type of the input is number. Width step is 0.1 to allow inputting float number. Okay, and in the home page here, click the create product handling, and when see the create new product form with two fields, product name and product price here. And because a product belongs to a category, so we need to display a list of categories here on the form. So we need to modify the controller here to get a list of category objects. So we need to have a reference to category repository here, category repo. So this name is product repo. Here in the handler method, that shows the new form. First, we need to add a list of category repo file or here, and this return a list collection, list categories, and add this list categories onto the model. So in the product new form, we can display select drop-down list for categories here in the product form. So we copy and paste this deep section for new field. Yeah, category. And in Thymeleaf, we can use the select field here, th field that maps to the category field of the product entity class category here. Okay, and then class from control require. And for the elements in this select, we need to use Thymeleaf th block th colon each category cat in the list categories. List categories stand from the controller list categories here, and then we create a new option element here with the text is a category name. The text equal to cat.name and th value of the option equal to cat.id of the category. That's it, and refresh the create new product page, and you can see the drop-down list displays a list of categories here, and when creating a new product we can choose the category to which the product belongs. Okay, and then we code the handler method that persists a new product object into the database. Yeah, post mapping action products slash save, which is the action of the product form. Here you see products slash save here, public save product, and we declare a product object here to map with the product object in the form, and we return a redirect to the home page temporarily because the list product page has not been implemented yet. Here we just call product repo save product object. So you can see it is very simple and easy using Bootstrap, using Spring Data JPA with Thymeleaf. Okay, save the change, and we are ready to test creating a new product. Before that, let me check the product table here. You see currently no rows in this table. And now let me create a new product for the category electronics here. Samsung Galaxy 4G, for example. Product price 789, and click save. And you can see it directs to the home page. And let me check the database. And you can see new product inserted into the product table here with category ID is 1. And you can see ID 1 is for the category electronics here. Perfect, right? So you see using Spring Data JPA with Thymeleaf is very easy to implement create a new product of, with an existing parent. An existing parent is a category which can be chosen from the drop down list here. You see. Now let me create another product for the category automobile here. For example, Tesla Model 3 price 21,000. Click save. Refresh the product table here, and you can see new product got inserted here. Perfect, right? And you can see the category ID is 3, which is the category ID of the category automobile 3 here. Next, I'm going to write code to implement the list products feature when the user clicks the hyperlink list products in the home page here. So I made the product controller class for adding a new handler method. Here, mapping, and the URL is exactly the URL here in the home page here. Public chain list products. We need to have a reference to the Spring ABC model object and return the logical view name products. And here we can use the product repository file or method that returns a list collection of product objects from the database. List products, and we put this list products onto the model. Okay, and then we create the product list page. We can reuse the code of this categories page. So copy and paste and modify products and modify. The title of the page is list products. Product list is a heading. And for a product, we have some columns: ID, name, price, and category. Here we use Thymeleaf with for each product in the list products collection. Product.id and product.name. Okay, and we can click the hyperlink list products. You can see name. There are two products: Samsung Galaxy and Tesla Model 3 here. Perfect, right? And next columns are price and category. Product.price and product.category.name. We can use nested attribute like this. Category is an object in of the product here, and in category we have the name here. Now refresh. You can see we have all the columns for product name, price, ID, name, price, and category. Now let me modify the product controller to redirect to the products here after saving a new product. Okay, let me test again. Create a product here, and this time I create a new product in spot here. Running shoe. For example, price is 27289. Click save. And you can see it returns to the product list page, and you can see the new product appears here. Perfect, right? So in this product new form here, create new product, we can create a new product for many to one relationship. Create a new children with existing parent chosen from a drop-down list here. Now I create a new product in food and beverage here. For example, Coca-Cola price is 0.5. Click save, and you can see Coca-Cola appears here. Perfect, right? Next, I'm going to implement the edit update product function that allows the user to update a specific product. So I need to update the product list base to include a hyperlink to allow the user to edit a specific product. So in this column, we put a hyperlink here. href equal edit, and the link is like this slash products slash edit, and then followed by the product ID plus product.id, and you can see the link edit here. Click here, and we need to implement the corresponding handler method in the controller class. In the product controller class here, mapping for the URL pattern like this. ID is the ID of the product. Public string show edit product form, and it returns the logical view name product underscore form, which is same as the new product form. And here we need to use the annotation path variable here to map the value ID here in the URL ID, and then integer ID, which is the ID of the product to be edited, and then the model object here. So here we can use a product repo repository here, find by ID method here, and it will return an optional object. So we get here find by ID get, and return a product object here, and then we put this product object onto the model attribute product. Okay, then we can test editing a product here. Click edit for Samsung Galaxy, and you can see the edit product form appears here. We should change the title of the page here. So edit the product form here. We need in edit mode we need to have a hidden input to store the value of the product ID to be edited here. Th value equal product.id, and here we can use th if the condition that the product ID is no. That means it displays a new product form, and otherwise unless product ID is not known, that means edit an existing product. Okay, now refresh. And you can see the heading of the best edit product here. View the best source, and you can see the value of the hidden field here, value 1. And we need to give a name to this hidden field. Name, no, we use th field equal to the field ID field of the product object here. Refresh, and you can see view best source ID here. And then we need to display the parent category of the product. So we need to add a list of category objects from the database. We can reuse this code here. Okay, and refresh the edit product page here. And you can see the category of product Samsung Galaxy is electronic here. Perfect, right? Now go to the product list page, and I want to edit the product Coca-Cola, and click edit here. And you note that the category is food and beverage here. Click edit, and you can see the selected category is chosen automatically here. Perfect, right? Now I want to edit the product, for example, automobile, from Tesla Model 2, 3 here to electronics, and click save. And you see the category of the product Tesla Model 3 has updated to electronics here. Perfect, right? Change running shoe to food and beverage. Save. You see, updated. Change back again. So you can see it's very simple and easy to implement the edit function for one-to-many relationship. Next, I'm going to implement the delete product function that allows the user to remove a specific product from the database. So update the product list page here to have a hyperlink for for deleting a product here. The URL is product/delete and followed by the product ID. And you can see the hyperlink. Delete here, the hyperlink delete here. And then we need to implement the corresponding handler method in the controller class. So we can copy this method here. Change the URL to product/delete/ followed by the ID of the product. Delete product. And in this handler method, we simply call product or repo delete by ID. And then we return a redirect to the product list based products here. Very simple, right? And we are ready to test deleting products here. I want to remove the product running shoe here. Click delete, and you see it has been removed. Let me check the database. Product, and you can see no more running shoe here. Let me delete the product Coca-Cola. Delete, and you see it has been actually removed from the database. Perfect, right? So I have done coding the CRUD functions on a many-to-one relationship between product and category, creating a new product as a new children with existing parent, with category can be chosen from the drop-down list here. And you can see it is quite simple and easy with Spring Data JPA and Thymeleaf. Next, you learn how to implement CRUD operations on an one-to-many relationship between two entities, brand and category. A brand can contain one or more categories, and a category belongs to only one brand. And when creating a new brand, uh, we can choose one or more uh, categories, which are the children here. And in the Java code, we need to create a new entity class brand that maps to the corresponding table brand in the database with two columns, ID and name. And in the category table, it will have a foreign key, brand ID, that refers to the primary key of the brand table here. Come back to the project, and we create a new Java package for the brand module here. New Java package dot brand here, and create a new entity class brand here, entity, and the first field is the ID, integer ID, and then the name of the brand. And then because a brand can contain one or more categories, so we need to have a collection of category objects here. I use a list collection, list brand, list categories equal new array list. And for the ID field, we need to use the ID annotation here and the generated value annotation here. Okay, and for the field name here, we need to specify the maximum length is 45 characters, nullable equal false, unique equal true. And for the collection, list collection of category objects here, we need to use the annotation one too many, because a brand can contain one or many category. And we specify the mapped by attribute, that is the field name in the category side brand here. And generate the getter and setter for this class. Select all, generate here. Okay. And in the category entity class here, we need to have a reference to a brand, private brand here, meaning that a category belongs to a brand. And for this, we need to use the annotation many to one, and specify the join column is the front key brand ID in the category table, and also generate the getter and setter methods for the new field brand here. Generate and brand here. Okay, save the changes, and it will update the tables in the database. And you can see the SQL statements that create a new table brand here and alter the table category at the front key brand ID here. And let me verify in the database. Refresh the tables here, and you can see table brand here with two columns, ID and name, and the table category has a new column, new foreign key, brand ID here. Let me alter this table, and you can see the foreign keys in this category table that refers to the brand table here. Perfect, right? And next, we need to create a new repository interface for brand. Yeah, brand repository, and have this interface extends the JPA repository for the entity class is brand. Type of the ID field is integer. Next, we are going to write code to implement the create new brand function. So let's update the home page to include two new hyperlinks for listing brands and for creating new brand. So we can copy and paste here. List brands. URL is /brands and creating a new brands. New brands /new. Create new brand and refresh the home page. Now you see the new two hyperlinks, list brands and create brand here. Now let's write a handler method to display the create new brand form for this URL. So I need to create a new controller class here. Brand controller using the controller annotation and have a reference to brand repository. Brand repo to wire. And the first handler method is to show the create new form get mapping for the URL here. Public string show create new brand form and return the logical view name of the brand HTML form, which is brand underscore form. And we need to have a model object from the Spring MVC here. Model add attribute new empty brand object here. New brand. Okay, save the changes and we need also create the HTML file for the brand form, so we can copy and reuse the code of the product form here. Copy and paste here. Brand underscore form dot HTML and change the title of the page to create new brand. Create new brand. Edit brand. And the action of the form is brand slash save and object is brand. Method post ID is the ID field of the brand. And the first text field is for the brand name. Okay, and then we need to have a list of categories here. So this text should be choose one or more categories. And in the controller class, we need to add a list of categories and set it onto the model. So here we need to have a reference to the brand category repository category report here, and we get the list of the category objects here, list categories, and put this list categories onto the Spring MVC model. Okay, so in the brand new form here, we can use a select element here. The field is categories. Categories is a field name in the brand entity class. Categories here, it is the collection. Okay, categories. Okay, and for this select field, we need to use this attribute multiple equal multiple here to allow the user to choose one or more elements from the list. Okay, that's it. And we can test the new brand form, create brand. We got an error here. Property of field ID cannot be found null. This is an error. Okay, we got an error here. Copy paste mistake. Very common mistake, right? Okay, refresh. And you'll see the create new brand form here. And you can see a list of categories here. And here we can use the control key or shift key to select multiple categories here. You see I select 3 categories here. Or you can use shift to select continuous categories. Use control key, hold the control key and click the mouse to select different categories here. Click save and we got a validation error, and we need to write another handler method in this controller class to proceed the brand object on the form into the database. So we use post mapping with the URL is /brands/save public string save URL for a brand object from the form, and we simply call brand repo save brand object here and return the logical view name. For now, just redirect to the home page because the list brand page has not been implemented yet. Okay, and we are ready to test creating a new brand for one-to-many relationship with existing children. And let me check the database. You can see the brand table here. Select no rows, and you can see no rows. And refresh the category table, and you can see in the category table we have a new column which here foreign key to the brand table, brand ID, null by default here. Now let me create a new brand. For example, Samsung is in electronics, and click save. You can see it directs to the home page. And let me check in the database. Refresh. Refresh. We got new Samsung brand Samsung here, but the category table has not been updated. You see no values for all the categories here. So to fix this issue, we can specify the cascade type attribute in the entity class brand for the one-to-many association here. Cascade type equal to cascade type proceed. So only save or update as a parent. We uh, save and update the children. So when the parent object brand is created or updated, the children will be updated as well. Okay, and we are ready to test again. Create brand, and new brand name is Honda. Category automobile here. Click save, and let's in the console view. Let's verify the database. Okay, and you see it is still null. Let me check in the create new brand from th view categories. Let me view the resource of the create new brand form here. We have select 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 for the categories here. It seemed to be correct. Nothing wrong. I think I should restart the application because I think when I make change to the category entity class here, it has not been updated for the new field brand. So I need to restart the application and test again. Basically, we don't need to specify the cascade type in the one-to-many annotation here. Okay, now test creating a new brand again. And this time I create a new brand for the category spot as it does. Yeah, and click save. Still not updated. Let me check the database. Not updated brand. We have three brands here with ID and name, but the category table has not been updated for the brand primary key here. Okay, so let me try to update this brand entity class. Remove this attributes and use the join column here. Name equal to the front key in the category table here, brand underscore ID. And test create a new brand again. And this time I create a new brand Coke. And category is food and beverage. Click save. Okay, now it works, and you can see it prints the statement to update the category for the brand ID here. So that means that we need to use the one-to-many and join column for the collection here. And let me check the database for the brand. We have the new brand Coke ID 4, and in the category table we have the category food and beverage with the front key brand ID updated to 4 here. It is working. Right. Next, I'm going to write code to implement the list brands function. When a user clicks the list brands hyperlink in the home page here, a list of brands will be displayed. So I need to update the brand controller to have a new handler method. Get mapping slash brands slash that's brands public chain list brands and returns a logical view name which is brands and have a model object from the Spring MVC. And here we use the brand the repository by or method that returns a list of brand objects, list brands, and put this collection onto the model. Add attribute list brands. Okay, and then I create a new HTML file for the list of brands. So we can copy and modify this file. Paste brands. List brands is a title. Heading brand list. And for a brand, we have some columns that are ID, name, and categories of the brand. Categories, one or more categories. Brand in list brand. Yeah, brand ID and brand name. Okay, and we can test list brands. You can see the brand list as it has Coke, Honda, Samsung here. And for displaying the list of categories of the brand, we can just specify the property name categories, which is a field name in the entity class brand categories here. And then we need to override the toString method of the category object here. So category name will be displayed. So generate toString method for the brand name, category name. Here, let's return the name. Okay, and we can refresh the brand list here. And you can see the category of Coke is food and beverage, and the other brands having the no category. And because in the database here, they are having the no values for the brand ID. Next, I'm going to write code that allows the user to update, edit, and update a specific brand. So I need to update the brands page here to have the edit action. So I can copy from the products list page edit action here. Edit brand. So the URL is brands slash edit followed by the brand ID here. And you see the edit hyperlink here. And we need to implement the corresponding handler method in the controller. So we can also copy code from the product here. The handler method that shows the edit brand form URL slash brands edit ID. So edit brand form and return the logical view name, which is a brand form. And here we need to get brand object from the brand repository based on ID. File by ID here, and it returns an optional object. So here we add, okay, and put this brand object onto the model. Here we'll also need to retrieve a list of categories. Okay, brand here, and let me check the brand form. Okay, now we can test the edit brand function. Here I click edit for the brand Adidas. Here, edit, and now I can choose the category spot for Adidas. Here, click save, list brands, and you can see the category spot has been updated to the brand name Adidas. Here, now let me check the database, and you can see here spot category updated to the ID of the brand Adidas. Here, correct, right? And I modify the controller here to direct to the brand list page. Yeah, whenever I make changes to a brand. Now I edit the Honda brand here, and I choose electronics and automobile, two categories. Yeah, click save, and you can see the brand Honda is now having two categories, electronics and automobile here. Let me verify the database. You see the category electronics and automobile assign brand ID to here correctly, right? And I edit the Samsung brand here for the category electronics here. And you can see for this kind of relationship one-to-many, when I set electronic to Samsung, it also remove electronic from Honda here. And let me check the database here. You see all the categories are now assigned to each brands here. So far you have learned how to implement CRUD operations on a one-to-many relationship between two entities, a brand and category. And when creating a new new parent object here, you can choose one or more existing children here. And you can see with the help of Spring Data JPA and Thymeleaf, the coding is quite simple and easy. And next, I'm going to show you how to implement CRUD operations on a one-to-many relationship between two entities, product and product details, in which when we creating a new parent object, here we also creating a new children, which are some details here. And in the Java code, we need to create a new entity class product details here that maps to the corresponding table product details in the database with four columns: ID, name, value, and the front key that refers to the primary key of the product table. Okay, come back to the project, and we need to create a new entity class under this package product here. New class product details. Product can have one or more details. Finish entity, and for this entity class we need to specify the table name, which is product underscore details. and we have the field ID, name, and value, and a reference to the parent entity, which is the product, product, and generate the getters and setters for these fields. Here, select all, and for the ID field, we need to use the ID annotation, generated value, strategy, generation type, identity, and for the column name, we need to specify the maximum length is 45 character, nullable equal false, and the same for the field value. And for the product field here, we need to use the annotation many to one, because one or more product details belong to one product, and specify the join column, which is a front key product underscore ID. That's it. And now on the other side, in the product entity class here, we need to declare a new field, which is a collection, a list collection, to the product details here. Details equal new array list here. And for this, we need to use the one-to-many annotation mapped by the product field in the product details entity class, and cascade type is cascade type. So all the operations on the parent object product will be cascaded to the children objects product details. Okay, save the changes, and when the application being restarted timenet, we create and update the table. You can see the SQL statement to create the product details table and update the let's create the product details table here. Let me check the database. Refresh all, and you can see the new table product details here with 4 columns: ID, name, value, and product ID here. Perfect, right? And let's select rows from this table, and you can see it is empty for now. And now let me update the product new form to show the section that allows the user to input product details. Here in the product new form, here you can see, go to the home page, you can see create a product here, and we will display 3 text fields for the product details below the category here. So here we can copy and paste this product name field here, and this label is details number 1, and here we need to use the input type equal text, and the name is detail. Name of the input field is detail. Sorry, it's not detail. It should be detail name, because the detail contains name and value, and the size of this column is just 4. And also for the text field for the detail value here, detail value. Okay, and refresh, and you can see the first detail here, name and value, and specify the text for the placeholder name, and text for the placeholder for value here. And you can see name and value. And similarly, we copy and paste this section for another details, the second and the third details. The second details number 2, and the third details number 3. In your application, you may use jQuery or JavaScript to allow the user to add as many details as the user wants. Okay, so here we have 3 details fields here, you see. And then we need to update the handler method in the product controller class here. Is the handler method save product here to read the values of the details name and value here. So we need to use an HTTP request object here. HTTP submit request, and we need to read the values manually for the get parameter values for the field detail name, which is an array of string detail names. And similarly for detail values, detail value. So because on the form we have multiple text fields with the same name, detail name and detail value. Okay, and then we need to iterate through each value, each name here. For integer I equals 0, I less than detail names length I plus plus. And then we need to add product details to the product object here. So in the entity class product here, we can implement a method that is the public void add detail for a given name and value. Yeah, this details is list collection, as you can see here. And we need to create a couple of constructors. Source generate constructor using fields here for name and value, also for product. Yeah, and we also need to have a no argument constructor here. Okay, so in the add detail method here, we add a new product detail here, new product details for name, value, and the parent product. Name, value, and the parent product is this object. Okay, and then in the controller handler method here, we call product add detail names element at the I index here, and detail values at the I index here. That's it. Okay, save all the changes, and we are ready to test the CRUD new product with details. Okay, yeah, refresh the new form, and this time I create a new product under the category electronics. My phone 12, for example, price 1, 2, 3, 4. Detail number 1 is memory value is for example 256 gigabyte, and the detail number 2 is operating system is iOS 12, and the detail number 3 is camera has the resolution is about 128 megapixel. Yeah, and click save. Okay, it returns to the product list, and let me check the database for the product details table here. And you can see there are 3 new rows inserted here: memory, OS, and camera here. And in the and you can see is a foreign key value ID5 for the product ID5, which is the product iPhone 12 here. So far so good, right? And now we update the code of the product list page here to show the details of each product. To do so, I need to update the product list page here, products here, and the next column. The column next to category is details here, and values is the details collections in the entity class product here, details here, and we need to override the toString method here, so the detail will be printed in okay, generate toString here for the fields name and value, and we just return name equal value. Okay, save the changes. And refresh the product list page here. We got an error here. Property of field details cannot be found object of type product. Sorry, I need to generate the getter and setter methods for the collection detail. Source generate constructor. Sorry, generate setter. Oh, sorry, it is in the product entity class. Source generate getters and setters for the details field here. Okay, and refresh, and you can see the details information of the product iPhone 12 here, memory, OS, camera here. Perfect, right? Next, I'm going to update the edit update function here that allows the user to update the details of a specific product here. Okay, so go to the product form here, and this section is for the case that a new product will be created. So here I use the th block with if condition here. If the product ID is no, that means it is going to create a new product, and the block here. And in case we are editing a product So you see unless th unless you see th if. Okay, and I use th block here, nested block here. Th no need. I can use th for each here. Th each for each detail in the product details here. Product.details here. I need to have input type equal hidden field here to store the ID of the detail. The name is detail ID and the value is th value equal to detail.id. And then I copy this div section for displaying label and text field for detail here in edit mode. And we need to have a status variable here to display the count number here. Status dot count here, and we don't need placeholder here because it is in edit mode. And we specify the value for the detail name. Th value equal to detail dot name, and the same for detail value here. Detail dot value. Okay, that's it. And let's try to edit the product iPhone 12 here. Edit, and you can see the details of iPhone 12 appears here. Memory, OS, camera here. Okay, let me and then we also need to update the handler method in the controller class here to read the detail IDs from the request IDs here. Detail ID. And then in the for loop here, we need to check if detail ID is not null, and detail ID has a length greater than 0. That means the product is in edit mode with some details. Else for the case that the product is new. And here we need to code another method in the product class here to update the details. Public void set detail. Integer ID. Integer ID. Sorry, it should be on the class and product details. Product details here. Oh, let me see. Okay. Sorry, it is in this set detail. String name, string value, and this details. Add new product detail with ID, name, and value. So we need to have another constructor in this class for all the fields. Source generate constructor using fields ID, name, and value. in edit mode. Okay, so here we can create a new product details with ID, name, and value. That's it. And in the handler method here, we call product set detail. Here, ID, name, and value. Name and value here, and ID is integer value of detail ID's element at the index I. Yeah. Okay, and save all the changes, and we are ready to test the edit update product with details here. Refresh, and now I change the detail memory to 512 GB for the memory. And the name of the details number 2 is operating system, and the name of the details number 3 is camera resolution, and details number 3 value is 64 megapixels here, and click save button. We get the details lost. Let me see. I think it's because in the set detail method here we don't pass a reference of the parent to the product details. So here we need to have a reference to the parent, which is a product here. Okay. This. Okay. Save the changes. And for now, let me delete all the products here. Delete, and create a new one. Create product here. iPhone 12. Price 1234. Electronics. Name. Memory. 128 gigabytes in OS 12, and detail number 3 is camera 128 megapixels. Here, click save, and you can see the new product iPhone 12 with these details here, and click edit. Now I edit the memory from 128 to 256 gigabytes. OS to operating system. iOS 10. Camera to camera resolution, and value to 64 megapixel. Yeah, and click save. And you see the details got updated: memory, operating system, camera resolution. Yeah, perfect, right? And let me check the database here. Product iPhone 12 here, you see, and product details here, and you see we have the details for product ID 6 here, and you can see the details for the product ID no here of the previous product. So delete these rows here. Apply, finish, and let me delete this product. Okay, and verify the database. And you can see the details have been deleted as well. No more product here. So far you have learned how to implement CRUD operations on an one-to-many relationship between two entities, product and product details, when creating a new parent, which is a product. Here it also creates new children, which are the product details here. And you can see with Spring Data JPA and Thymeleaf, it is not very difficult. What we need is to write some extra code to handle all the details of the children on the form like this, as you have seen. Okay, so that's the complete tutorial about implementing CRUD operations for one-to-many relationships with the three most common cases in a Spring Boot application with Thymeleaf, Bootstrap, Spring Data JPA, and MySQL Database. I hope you will find this video as a good reference. Please subscribe to my channel, like, comment, and share this video. Thank you.